period of time. So we go to the next topic, that is dentin hypersensitivity, asked as an LAQ, or maybe a part of it again, most commonly being assessed for your short note. Dentin hypersensitivity characterized by a sharp, short pain which is arising from the dentin in response to typically a thermal evaporative stimuli, osmotic, which cannot be ascribed to any other form of the dental defect or pathology. So what is the difference in this and a pulpitis it is not having any pathology which could be contributing factor. The differential diagnosis could be a chipped tooth, could be a reversible pulpitis, or it could be because of the leakage around caries, tooth, etc. So the clinical features commonly affecting the adults, more common in the age of 20 to 40 years, higher incidence in females. Hypersensitive teeth are a source of chronic irritation that affects eating and can get very sensitive even when you are breathing, giving a lot of discomfort, very vicious cycle. You will see mostly in the buccal cervical area. The common sites or the predilection where you will find them is in all these areas, and it is not having a correlation with plaque, but nevertheless it's not good to have plaque also. The etiology could be because of the gingival recession, tooth brushing, gingival recession which occurs because of the gingival condition, that is your anug and anop. So you have your periodontal diseases, periodontal surgical and non-surgical procedures, or the dehiscence and fenestration type of defects where there is a loss of the cortical bone, exposure of the root surface leading to dentinal hypersensitivity, loss of enamel, again attrition, abrasion, improper brushing, erosion, or a gastroesophageal reflex that could lead to erosion of the tooth. So these are not the common of the reasons which could be responsible for it. Then you have the theories of the dental hypersensitivity which have been implicated. You all know that is your direct nerve theory, your odontoblast receptor theory, and the hydrodynamic theory. The most accepted, which you all know, is your hydrodynamic theory, which is because of the fluid moment and the stimuli that is applied to the pulp and movement of the fluid materials into the dentinal tubules. Now let us come to the management. We have the treatment management, which can be by the it could be by the patient himself, that is the home care. It could be in-office treatment, or it could be the patient education. So in home care, it could be using the desensitizing agents like your strontium chloride, your potassium nitrate, and at home management, you can ask the patient to use it twice. So please remember, and you also do not forget, in case sometimes you have a discomfort, you can also, you may not afford to forget it, and you will find that most of your uncles and grandfathers here and all, they will always complain that they have a sensitive tooth. So please be mindful of these agents which you can prescribe them. And in office treatment, you can attempt to do the remineralization, and you could be using with the help of using the fluorides or the CPP, ACP agents, that is a casein phosphate peptide. Amorphous calcium can be used for the treatment. You could use your adhesive materials. They could be use of varnishes, bioglass, lasers, and oxalates. So these are the different managements which can be carried out in the office. All of you must be versed with all these management strategies. And then, of course, the patient education and counseling will be important. You will do a diet counseling. You will ask them to advise them to do a proper brushing techniques. Plaque control and presence of the plaque will definitely interfere with the mineralization process. Therefore, it is very important to maintain the hygiene. So you have to advise a good practice on these lines. We coming to the obturation, which is the most important topic again in form of your LAQ, short notes, and Viva, and almost everything. This topic is again important from your exam point of view. So what is obturation? It is a three-dimensional filling of the root canal, as is commonly said. So the American is fill and seal a shaped root canal. Now, when to obturate, what are the criteria to obturate the root canal? These questions we also typically write in your journals, which you all write. You must have all this on the tip of your tongues. What are the criteria that you will consider when you obturate the root canal, that the canal should be ideally clean and shaped to an optimum size. It should be dry. It should be asymptomatic. There should not be any pain. And the previous criteria that were said were there should be a negative culture and there should be no absence of foul odor and lack of apical sensitivity. But of course, the negative culture tests we do not follow it. But you must know all these criteria as to when the tooth is ready for obturation. And what should be the extent to which the apical obturation should be carried out is around 0.5 to 0.7 millimeters. So overextension, underextension, both should not be done. Now, what is this diagram which is shown here? It is classical this Cutler's study, which describes about the apex of the root around 0.5 to 0.7 millimeters is the very critical junction. You should not lead to overextension or underextension, and it should terminate at the minor constriction. So that is the limit and extent to which you should have your obturations. Ideal requirements, you all know the gutta percha. It should not be irritating, should fill, should not shrink, should be impervious to moisturizer, bacteriostatic, etc., etc. And these are the different type of the materials: solid core, filling, paste, and filling materials. Gutta percha is one of the most commonly used composition, having classically your zinc oxide, waxes, and your metal oxides. The important properties which exist in beta form, and when it is plasticized, it turns into the alpha form. And how do you plasticize the so how do you sterilize the gutta percha? That is, you can dip it into the isopropyl alcohol and it can be sterilized, or they are available in pre-sterilized package. So these are type of questions which are generally asked in your orals. Then how do you identify what is the availability of the gutta percha, in which form they are available, in commercial forms, in injectable forms, in different sizes, color coding, medicated gutta percha. These are the different techniques. Enumerate the techniques of obturation and describe one of the obturation techniques in detail. Is a classically asked LAQ technique. Max Pidden is again a thermomechanical compaction, which is asked as a short note. These are all the different methods. And you could highlight upon all the different steps about the selection of the gutta percha and how you do the trial of the master cone, how you apply the sealer, how you select a spreader and apply. So that could be all included. A good diagrammatic representation is what will be very important. I mentioned to you in the very first method, in my very first beginning itself, I have explained you that. Now we go to this topic, that is the endodontic surgeries. What are this is again a question which could be asked as a LAQ. So, and maybe the questions that generally you will find which are asked on this topic are the indications, the contraindications, and there could be an episectomy or epixification, or there could be a retrograde filling. So these are the general things that can be asked in this particular chapter. So the indications you can see, that is a need for a surgical drainage, failed non-surgical, metamorphosis, procedural errors whenever there are anatomic variation, biopsy, corrective surgery and replacement surgery. So the